is weather, and also to the fact that we're now also careful in the sun. We're actually starving our bodies of an essential vitamin we get from sunshine, vitamin D.
Now, not having enough vitamin D can really have quite dreadful consequences for our health. I mean, we've just got to look at some of the headlines that we've got here. Sun-starved Britons must take vitamin D in winter, and what they're referring to is the fact that sunlight gives us vitamin D, which helps the absorption of calcium, which of course is good for our bones. So while too much sun certainly is not safe, I really did want to find out whether getting no sun at all could be just as bad or perhaps even worse.
We could well get up into the low 30s.
Britain's sweltering in its longest heat wave for 7 years.
High pressure across the UK.
Searing heat.
Another sizzling day.
Barry Island, hotter than Barbados.
Now, we might not see forecasts like that as often as we'd like, but when the sun does come out in Britain, our arms, legs and very often much more come out too.
Now, worth mentioning the high UV levels. The sun will be very strong.
If you're out in that sunshine for any length of time, well, a little bit of suntan lotion will go quite a long way.
Unless you're in a high-risk group for developing skin cancer, on grey winter days like this, we don't have to worry about what damage the sun might be doing to our skins. But if some of the reports that appeared in the press towards the end of 2016 are correct, then perhaps what we should be worried about is whether or not we're actually getting enough sun. They said that us sun-starved Brits were missing out on the vitamin D that our bodies get from sunshine, and we should be taking supplements in the winter to keep our bones and immune system strong. But they also said that we don't all get enough vitamin D in the summer either, perhaps because so many of us follow the safe sun message and cover up or use sunscreen. So too much sun is bad for our skin, and too little sun is bad for our bones. No wonder people aren't really sure what to do. Do you always use some kind of sun protection?
Oh, always, yeah. I burn quite easily, so I need to make sure that I've got something on.
I never really wear it in this country.
Hardly.
Do you cover up? Do you use high protection on your sun cream?
Definitely,
yes?
yeah. I think it's really important because I do have really fair skin.
Does it ever worry you that the lack of sunshine means you're not getting enough vitamin D?
It does worry me.
It's not something I think about from day to day.
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I do know it's important to get.
To find out more about how the sun's UV produces vitamin D, I'm meeting up with the sunshine expert Professor Anne Webb from the University of Manchester. Well, Anne, we're filming this in early March. Lots of blue sky out there, which is lovely because we've got sunlight, but it's freezing cold. To show me how it's surprisingly hard to get all we need from the sun in the winter months, she's fitting me with a gadget, and we're heading for a walk around the university. Anne specialises in studying how our bodies make vitamin D from sunshine. Back in her office, the results show my badge detected very little UV.
The red line is when you were outside and we were walking around.
UV levels are measured on a scale up to 8. But the gadget on my wrist barely registered 1 on the UV index. Here it got to 0.4. Here it was 0.7. This is where it was at its highest, a whopping 1. And back inside, of course, it was 0.
So UV index of 1 is really not very much.
Rubbish, really, isn't it?
It is pretty rubbish, yes. we wouldn't even have to worry about wearing our sunscreen when the UV index is 1.
So even on a day like today, where we've had lots of heavy cloud, but big patches of blue sky where the sun has been coming through, it's still not enough to give me the vitamin D that I need.
That's right. There's really just not enough there at this time of year.
What would that reading be at the height of the summer?
Well, then you'd see it somewhere around about 5, 6, 7 even.
So if no amount of sunshine will get us all the vitamin D we need in the winter months, what kind of lifestyle gets us the sun and vitamin D we need to last all year? To help us find out, we've recruited 3 people who spend very different amounts of time outdoors. And Anne is going to give us her verdict on whether or not they get the sunshine they need.
The sun drives my business. Without the sun, grass doesn't grow. Sun's energy, basically.
Farmer Mark is outdoors in all weather.
I'm probably out in the sun about 4 to 5 hours a day. Some days we can do 8, 10 hours, depending what jobs we're doing.
And scaffolder Martin works outside almost all day, whatever the weather.
I'd say on a typical day, every day, we're outside for about 8 hours.
Working mum Saloma spends almost all her time inside, running her baby gift business.
In the normal day, I actually probably be outside for about 3 hours maximum. That would involve me going to school, doing the school pickups and drop-offs, some childcare. So it's kind of very much in and out, in and out, in and out. The majority of the time, either indoors on my laptop or indoor making my baby gifts.
Okay, can I move 5, pal?
Martin the scaffolder tops the table for time spent outside. But that's the only table he tops, because his clothes mean the UV rays our bodies turn into vitamin D can't get to his skin.
I'm constantly covered up. We've got our jackets on, harness. Obviously, I've got my hard hat on, so the only thing that's exposed is my face.
There's very little skin that's actually exposed to the sun. While at first thought you might think he's getting a lot of exposure, I think his is actually quite limited during the working week. He'd be making very limited vitamin D.
And even in the summer months, with his hands and face showing, Anne thinks Martin is unlikely to generate enough vitamin D. But there is a solution.
It's difficult because it's very important that he follows all the safety regulations. So I suppose that leaves him with his leisure time and his weekends. And if he gets a break to have his lunch or something, sitting up on the scaffold to take his jacket off and expose a bit more skin then.
Instead, it's Farmer Mark who's getting the most vitamin D from the sun.
He's exposing all of his arm, as well as his face and head.
I've probably got what you call a farmer's tan, which comes up your arms and stops about there.
I would say of the three, he's getting the most sun exposure and therefore has the greatest ability to make vitamin D in his skin.
As for Saloma, being in a car most of the time that she is outside will cut out a lot of the UV that she needs.
If you're sitting in your car or you've gone into a shop or you're in a mall, you might say, I'm out, as in out of the house, but you're not getting sunlight exposure in those places.
And there's another consideration for Saloma too. Her skin colour means she'll have to make an even bigger effort to get enough vitamin D.
In the summer, if you've got pigmented skin, then it is possible to make enough vitamin D, but you do have to be careful to expose sufficient amount of skin, and also you would need to be outside for a longer time than someone with a white skin.
So that's how it works in the summer. But in the winter, the sun just isn't strong enough for any of us, even Farmer Mark, to get all the vitamin D we need from sunshine between October and March. The good news is that our bodies can store it during the summer to last us through the winter. But Martin and Saloma don't get enough. And while Martin could try to roll up his sleeves when he's on his lunch break at work, Saloma needs to look for her vitamin D elsewhere.
I would think she would be well advised to at least consider supplements and to think about them for her children maybe.
Vitamin D is essential for strong bones as it helps the body absorb the calcium in our diet. And supplements will help anyone keep their vitamin D levels topped up all year round, especially in those winter months when the sun isn't strong enough. But why isn't the sun strong enough? Anne is taking me into what must be the darkest room in the university to explain. What is actually happening to the sun on the globe? I mean, you can give us a demonstration of that, can't you?
Yes, when the sun is right overhead, then we get all the sun's energy.
That's like here on the equator.
That's right. But as we go further to the north, the sun is now not directly overhead, and the same amount of energy is spread over a much bigger area. So we're getting much less radiation as we go, in our case, further north.
So that weaker northern winter sun is why getting vitamin D from the sun in summer is so important. But even our UK sun can still burn us in the summer. So how do we get one without the other?
It is complicated because the sun has both good effects and detrimental effects. We can get a sunburn, which is bad for us. But if you want to make vitamin D through your skin, then you do need to go out in the sun and let some unprotected skin see the sunlight.
Unprotected skin, now that's the important bit, because we're always being told you must wear some kind of sun barrier. You're saying we don't need to at certain times.
Well, the sun barrier, the sunscreen or the clothing, is to protect you from UV radiation and stop you getting a sunburn. But of course, it's that same UV radiation that's making vitamin D in your skin. So a short period, unprotected, to allow some vitamin D, and then, of course, cover up and make sure you don't get a sunburn.
When you say short, how much do we need to get that vital vitamin D?
Oh, well, that's a difficult question. It depends on all sorts of things. It depends on where you are, on the time of day, on the amount of skin that you're exposing, and on your skin pigmentation, your skin colour as well.
In 2016, the government changed years of official advice and said more of us should be boosting our vitamin D intake with a supplement, because hospitals are seeing an increase in diseases that are caused by a lack of vitamin D. At Manchester Children's Hospital, 18-month-old Azriel is being treated for a condition that I'd not imagined would be present in the 21st century: rickets. He's just one of the many children specialist Dr. Raja sees every year with the condition.
So he's been diagnosed with rickets, which is a disease of a growing bone. Because his vitamin D is low, he's not been able to absorb calcium from his diet. It's never just vitamin D deficiency alone. It's also calcium deficiency.
Because he's allergic to dairy products, he doesn't have any source of calcium. As well, so.
We don't know too much about the different effects it would have on him, and we didn't know what the different remedies for it was, so we've just been learning as we go.
Azriel's parents are originally from southern Africa, but our weak British son and not taking supplements is what gave his mum a vitamin D deficiency when she was pregnant. This, combined with Azriel also suffering from a calcium deficiency, has caused his rickets.
Okay, if you could stand here for us, that's right. Right, okay. As you can see here, he's got the bowing of the leg. And the other features one tends to see in rickets is the end of the bones, the long bones, they're a bit swollen. You've been very good to us today. Well done.
When did you notice that his legs were starting to bow?
It was around 7 months.
Yeah.
When he started to try and walk. But there is good news. Azriel's bones are still developing, so he just needs more vitamin D and calcium, and his legs will straighten as his bones get stronger. How long is it going to take for his legs to start straightening up again, Raja?
6 months you will start seeing the benefit, and within 1 to 2 years you will see them to be completely straight, provided you continue to take vitamin D supplement.
Dr. Raja is just one of the experts having to deal with the highest rate of rickets in English hospitals for 50 years. Why is it that we're seeing, apparently, more cases of rickets now than we did, say, 10, 20, 30 years ago?
Well, there are various factors and various reasons for this. One of them is the lifestyle change. We're not going outside under the sun to get our skin exposed to sunlight to produce vitamin D.
Staying indoors with children, particularly playing computer games rather than being out in the streets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, our population is getting very diverse, and darker the skin, even a larger amount of sunlight is required to produce vitamin D.
So if you're an Afro-Caribbean, you'll come from the Middle East or the Far East, anywhere in that belt where you're going to get a lot of sun during the day, if they come to Britain, they're not going to get the same amount of sun, are they?
Exactly. So therefore, it becomes very important that they get vitamin D supplementation.
Well, I have to say, the repercussions of not getting enough sun are almost enough to make you want to spend even more time out in the sunshine. But as we've long been told, that also comes with serious risks to our health, including skin cancer. And to remind us just how dangerous the sun could be, in February 2016, the government health watchdog, NICE, told us there was no safe way to get a suntan. And if that's leaving you even more confused about how to ensure that you get enough vitamin D but don't spend so long in the sun that it damages your skin, then don't worry, because there is a way to get the balance right. Dr. Vishal Madan is a consultant dermatologist. How do we weigh up the benefits of the sun against the disadvantages?
What is important to understand is you need just limited amount of sun exposure to produce vitamin D. If you're out in the sun for even longer than that, you're increasing your risks of the most dangerous type of skin cancers, such as melanoma.
Dr. Madan says for most, but not all of us, a few minutes in the summer sun every day with bare arms or legs should be enough to get the vitamin D you need, without posing a serious risk of skin damage. But, and it's a very big but, if you burn easily or you're already at risk of skin cancer, no unprotected sunshine is safe.
If you've got a very strong family history of skin cancers, you've got hundreds of moles in your skin, and if you've had skin cancers in the past, this advice is not relevant to you. But somebody who hasn't got those kind of risks,